So chapters 10 through 14 were pretty intense. I'm going to go back to the point that I had brought up in class about how Mr. Dean won't perform an abortion for the girl Grace unless it was rape and from a black man. But little does he know that his own son impregnated a black woman. So my kind of question with that is like, would he do the abortion then if like it was his own blood? Just kind of wondering if that was the point of that passage, really. And then there's another passage I wanted to talk about. It's on page 139, probably different in your book. But it talks about how I was just talking along in the park one day 2 or 3 months ago. Make a joke of it. He's likely to think you need a damn straitjacket. There were some ants on a stone, just some plain damn ants. You know, I stopped and stepped on one, mashed it flat. Just not thinking, see? One way or another particularly. Minute I did, something flashed through my mind. You killed Nani. Had no sense to it, see? But it kept coming back in my mind. At first, the thing was so crazy it didn't bother me, but it kept coming back. Sort of gets on your nerves after a while. So I thought that passage might have been like foreshadowing in the future. Maybe Ed kind of gets Nani into some trouble, as we see when he finds out that Tracy Dean has been with her, as Henry comes into the restaurant and announces that Tracy Dean gave him $100 while drunk and tells him to marry Nani to get rid of his problem. And Henry is also drunk when he announces this, so he probably doesn't even realize it as well. Another point that I thought was interesting is when they're talking about him getting engaged to Dorothy, and he talks about how it really wouldn't be that bad. Kind of goes back to the point we were talking about in class, where we were talking about how marriage isn't more for love at this point, but protection, you know, kind of like the comfort. It's what you're supposed to do. It's the norm, and that's why he feels like he has to get married. And then I also thought it was really interesting the way that they referred to menopause, and like women going crazy from menopause. I thought that was definitely a very weird point. Wasn't really sure what that point was all about. I know he's scared that Alma is gonna kind of turn into this kind of person, and that maybe Dorothy would too. I think that's just kind of speaking to his fear of like women's sexuality and how he's always taking advantage of nannies. So I thought this was a pretty interesting chunk of reading, and I'm really excited to read on.